Hello, my name is Miarel, and I'm here to help you learn computer programming. This is my very first video, which you can probably tell because I'm a little nervous and because the production value is not going to be very high. But I think that's okay because sometimes when you're first starting to learn something new, it can be daunting. And the mere act of starting can be actually more important than where exactly you start. So if you have no computer programming experience, kind of like how I have no experience producing videos, that's actually awesome. You are the perfect audience for this video series, and I am really excited that you decided to learn, and I'm even more excited that I might get to be a part of your learning process. So welcome. And if you already know computer programming, don't worry, I plan to challenge you soon enough. Plus, I could really use your feedback on how to make this video series better. But the premise of this video series is going to be that we're learning computer programming together from scratch. And there's actually a quote that I really like by Carl Sagan about doing things from scratch, which goes like this. If you wish to make an apple pie from scratch, you must first invent the universe. You must first invent the universe. Whoa. Okay, well, we're not going to invent any universes today. We're going to have to save that for another lesson. So that does mean we have to take a few things for granted. But I want it to be as little as possible. So what that means is I'm going to assume that you have good general knowledge and that you can accomplish basic tasks on a computer. But beyond that, I'm going to try to not assume anything. I'm going to try to teach you everything that you might need to know, or at the very least, point you in the right direction and give you some materials so that you can learn on your own. And please give me feedback on how I'm doing on that, either by commenting on this video or by messaging me directly. So let's get started. So I once tried to learn computer programming by just reading a book, and it didn't really work. So I can tell you from first-hand experience that it's much easier to learn if you're actually doing. So if you were falling asleep during the intro, I can't really blame you, but now is the time to wake up because we're about to start doing. And today it's lesson 1. So our goal is going to be to get a taste for what we can do with computer programming. Our goal is to write our first code. Now, the word code, you may have heard it before. What it means, it's kind of like the unit of computer programming. If you're writing a story, you're writing prose, probably. And if you're writing a computer program, what you're doing is you're writing code. And the good news is that we don't have a lot in terms of requirements to get started. All we need is a web browser. I am using the word modern here mainly because I don't want you to use something that's from the 90s unless you mean the 2090s. But really anything that's even a few years old is probably going to work. The other part that's important is that we use a desktop or laptop computer. This probably won't work on your phone, at least it doesn't work on mine, but who knows, phones are getting better each day, so feel free to give it a shot. But if you are watching this on your phone and you can't follow along, please promise me and promise yourself that you're going to try it later, because like I said, doing is the easiest way to learn. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my web browser. Now, you're probably already in your web browser. So what you should do is you should open up a new browser window. If you want to use a new tab, that also works, but it's just going to make it harder to watch this video while also doing things in a new tab. That's why I recommend a new window instead. And now what we're both going to do is we're going to open up the JavaScript console. And I'll show you how to do that in a few different browsers. First of all, if you're on Chrome on a Mac like I am, you can go to View, Developer, JavaScript Console. And in Firefox, it's in a slightly different place. It's in Tools, web developer, and it's called Web Console. And I can also do it in Safari, but it's a bit tougher because, first of all, the menu that I need is not enabled by default. So to enable it, I have to go to Safari, Preferences, Advanced, Show Develop Menu and Menu Bar, and then I get the Develop Menu and Menu Bar. But even though I want Air Console, it's not enabled. I have to go to some website first. So I'm going to go to Google, and then I've got Show Error Console available. I also see some error messages here that I don't care about, so I'm going to clear them. And now I have my JavaScript console. If you're using some other web browser that I didn't show you about today, or if you're using Microsoft Windows or Linux, it could be in a different place, but it's called something like console, JavaScript console, developer console, error console. Do your best to try and find it. And if you still need my help, don't hesitate to reach out. I will try to help you find it. But for the rest of the lesson, I'm just going to go back to Chrome because it works just the same in any browser, and I happen to prefer Chrome's developer tools. So going back to Chrome, I'm going to go to the console here, and I will increase the font size so you can see things better. Obviously, you don't have to change the font size unless you want to. But yeah, what can we do with the JavaScript console? Well, the most basic thing we can do is we can type in some mathematical expressions and evaluate them. So if you're in need of a calculator, you can use the console for that purpose. So here we have 2 plus 2, it is 4. Excellent. The universe seems healthy. Let's make sure using multiplication as well. For that, we have to do a star. 3 times 4, that's a 12. I can even do more complicated things like 5 times 5 plus 5 divided by 5 minus 5. Okay, it's 21. That seems reasonable. So yeah, we've done some math here, but that's probably not too exciting. Let's actually write some code. Now, for the part that's coming up, it's going to be a little bit like the first day of French class, when you come in and the teacher wrote "Comment t'appelles-tu" on the board and tells you that this means "what's your name?" And so then you're trying to figure out which part of this means name, which part means your, and you can't really do that, and you're kind of upset. But after you've been learning French for a while, you realize that actually what it meant is not exactly what's your name, but how do you call yourself? So that's why it didn't work out. So for today, don't worry too much about understanding what all the details mean. That's not the important part. The important part is that we can see how easy actually it is to write some code. And we'll go over the details soon enough. So please try to follow along, even if you don't fully understand everything. I'll do my best to explain nonetheless. So what I want to do is I want to print some text. I think text is more interesting than arithmetic right now. So oftentimes when people are doing their first program in a new programming language, or in general, they print out the text "Hello World." But what I want to do is something slightly different. What I want to do is I want to print out something that's going to evoke my inner John F. Kennedy. And so I'm going to use a function called console.log to print out this text, which I'm sure is terrible German. But, you know, I am a programmer, and you are too. Okay, so we've printed out some text. That didn't feel too exciting, probably. Let's step it up a notch. Instead of just printing it in the console, let's do something a bit more intrusive. Let's do something called alert. So same text here. Okay, So we've popped up a notice here for the user. That's exciting. This is how those annoying websites with all the pop-ups do it, in case you're wondering. But that wasn't that satisfying just yet. So let's go a step further. This is a part where it gets actually a bit more complicated. So let us create a variable called p. And we're going to assign to it a newly created element, also of type p. P means paragraph, by the way. So far, nothing happened. Let's modify the inner HTML of this paragraph. Let's set it to our desired text. Sorry, German folks that are watching this. And now, for the grand finale, let's do document.body.append child and give it p to work with. Okay. Well, there it is. There it is. Okay, let's make it bigger. Let's make it bigger. I want to be more excited. So I'm going to make it bigger. I'm going to change the style of this element, and I'm going to give it a font size here. How about, 50 pixels? Okay, it's gotten bigger. And so there we are. We have successfully written our first code. Now, if you thought that last part was a little bit intense, that's by design. It was supposed to be intense, but hopefully it was also fun because it showed us some of the things that we can do with programming. So what I want you to take away from that isn't any of the specifics of what we just did. I don't expect you to. In fact, I don't want you to try to memorize the commands that we typed into the console. What I want you to take away from this is that it's actually really easy to get started coding. We can do it right in our browser. And secondly, I want you to internalize how important it is to actually be doing programming if you want to learn programming. So if you thought that it got intense towards the end, that's completely fine. I want you to remember that feeling so that a few lessons from now, after we've been doing this for a while, and it's really easy peasy, that you'll enjoy it that much more. Now that said, just because there's nothing to memorize after this lesson or practice, there is actually homework. So what I want you to do is I want you to tell one of your friends that you've decided to learn programming so that next time that you see them, they can ask you about it, and that will provide some external motivation in addition to the internal motivation that you already have. And that's it for today. Thanks for watching. Hello, hello, and welcome to the first of my videos about computer programming. Hello, 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 hello. Sometimes getting started with a new project is more important than when exactly you start, don't you think? I think so.